Hello, class. One of the things you learn in a critical thinking course is about logical fallacies. So this is your introductory lecture on logical fallacies. A logical fallacy is an error in reasoning, an argument flaw. Fallacies are logical errors in arguments. When an argument is fallacious, the claim being made does not follow logically from the reasons or evidence that is given. So you can imagine you have your evidence, your information, and you're using it to back up your claim. So you had say blah, 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 therefore claim. In a fallacy, the therefore part is a problem. Like somehow it doesn't really make sense. You go from your evidence to the claim in a way that's not logical, and so you have a fallacy. Fallacies warm up examples. What's wrong with this argument? So you can think about this one for a moment. Sometimes an argument feels good if you agree with it, or it feels really bad or you hate it if you disagree with it. But sometimes an argument can feel good to people, but it's actually not a good argument. It's illogical. It's fallacious. So in this case, the claim is that we should build a wall, and the evidence given is that we are being flooded with a swarm of illegal alien invaders. Well, this is not a strong argument because it's just full of emotional language. Flooded, swarm, alien invaders. It's full of emotional language, but it doesn't really give evidence. So it's not a strong argument. This is an appeal to emotion fallacy. Here's another example. My son and his 3 best friends are addicted to video games. Therefore, all teenage boys are addicted to video games. So again, a fallacy is not about getting the facts wrong exactly. It's about being illogical or making an argument that doesn't make sense. There's something wrong with it. So in this case, what's wrong with it is that I'm talking about my son and his 3 friends, and then I make a big claim about all teenage boys based on just my son. So that doesn't make sense because maybe teenage boys are not like my son and his friends at all. So this one is a hasty generalization fallacy, which we'll come back to later. Look at this example for a moment. Here the claim or the thesis is that prayer works. Like it heals the sick or something like that. Okay? And the evidence being given is that I prayed for Mark, John, Karen, and Rita, and they all got better. However, the evidence isn't very strong. Why? In this case, it's because there's no evidence that praying caused them to get better. Maybe they got better for some other reason. Maybe they took medicine or went to the doctor. So this is a false cause fallacy or a post hoc fallacy. Again, it's a fallacious argument, but fallacies can take very different forms, as we've seen. There are many different kinds of fallacies, and on this page, if you hit pause in the slideshow, you can click on these links, and there's many different websites about fallacies. There's thousands of examples out there, and there are actually many dozens of different kinds of fallacies. So they're all fallacies. They're flaws in arguments, bad logic in arguments. However, they can take many different forms, and we'll just study a handful of fallacies this semester. So here's one fallacy that you can learn for this week, the hasty generalization fallacy. So the short version is don't generalize. Hasty generalization, to draw a conclusion about a population based on a sample that is not large enough. So when you generalize, you're saying something, you're making a claim about lots of things, like all teenagers, or all people, or all butterflies, or you're making a generalization. It's a hasty generalization if the amount of evidence you have is only very small. Example, teenage boys like Twitch streamers. I know because my sons watch a Twitch streamer named Hassan Piker. So here, I generalize hastily about teenage boys based on my sons. So based on the fact that my sons watch Hassan Piker, it doesn't mean that all of them do. So hasty generalization fallacies are really common. It's really tempting to generalize based on the people you know. This is a very obvious example. Sometimes they're more subtle than this one.